E3 was always the best way to start the summer growing up. It was practically my only source of gaming news as a kid, and I hoped to attend it in person as an adult one day. And then E3 died. But this year, E3 is back. Kind of. It's more so every major company copying Nintendo Directs and scheduling them around the same time. Dragon Quest XII is back after 5 years of silence, and they completely restarted development, which the last game to do that was... To be honest, I'm actually happy Square has deviated from that original hyper-edgelord teaser back to what seems like the usual tone the series is known for. I know a lot of people were interested in seeing a darker Dragon Quest, and I was too, until I started playing Dragon Quest VII this year and realized that these games can actually be dark as fuck when they want to be without sacrificing their whimsical tone. Sony showed us some more Wolverine, which I wish I was more excited for. Gameplay-wise, this looks like an unlockable Marvel skin for God of War, with all the fancy gore and blood physics, which will be the major selling point for most. For me though, what's going to make or break this game is the story. The disappointment I felt with Spider-Man 2's narrative was so immeasurable that it poisoned my future enjoyment of this game. Hopefully Insomniac can redeem themselves come September. Green Goblin is finally in a fighting game, which almost makes up for the fact that Jubilee is not on the roster. Almost. I think if Arc Sys wants Tokon to sell any copies at all, they'll need to invest heavily in quality single-player content, as opposed to what they usually do. Vivarium initially looked like a very small-scale, Ghibli-inspired indie Harvest Moon, and then the camera pans out to reveal the whole game takes place inside a little bottle, inside an abandoned building. This is gonna be fucking horrifying, isn't it? Speaking of horrifying, Silent Hill Townfall finally has a release date in September. This is part of Konami's new initiative to release yearly Silent Hill games, which is the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. But the little they've shown of the story looks good, I just need the gameplay to have some more replayability than F. I guess Resident Evil is also a yearly franchise now, because we have a Code Veronica remake coming next year. I honestly wasn't expecting this to happen so soon, given the RE9 DLC Capcom's still cooking up, so this was a nice surprise. But will it be a RE3 style remake, or a good remake? Naughty Dog was supposed to show us more Entergalactic this year, but I guess they forgot to set their alarm. Instead, we got a new IP from some of their ex-devs, Crossfire. It feels like whenever Jeff Keighley has to host an event, whether that's an award show or his ex-wife Miss Piggy's wedding, he has to fulfill this quota to show off cinematic trailers from random ass video game companies. Now, of all of them shown this season, this one is the first to interest me, solely because it looks like there's personality and intentionality to the dialogue and presentation. Deltarune Chapter 5. There's going to be a One Piece restaurant tycoon game for some reason. Jujutsu Kaisen is getting a Vampire Survivors Battle Royale game, which is a sentence that should not be leaving my mouth. I don't think Among Us is relevant anymore, but we're getting a single-player murder mystery game set in the universe. Fun with Among Us always came from playing with your friends, and less so the actual tasks. So I'm curious how they'll adapt the gameplay for lonely people like me. Orbitals looks exactly what I'd envision a playable 80s sci-fi anime would look like. I just need to figure out how to clone myself before September. Star Wars looks pretty promising in terms of video games this year. I wasn't expecting Galactic Racer to have a full-blown campaign, which is nice. The real star though is Zero Company. This is XCOM meets Mass Effect meets Clone Wars, which means this is going to be the greatest Star Wars video game ever made. Rayman Legends got DLSS 5'd, and it honestly doesn't look as bad as I thought it'd be. The original game was the sole reason I bought a Wii U as a kid, and I never got around to playing it, so now's the time. Now, I was always under the impression that Ace Combat was just some realistically grounded multiplayer military fighter jet thing, but this trailer is looking pretty anime. There's some sort of inside job conspiracy going on. We see a giant space tower and a battleship running over skyscrapers, and I think I want to play every Ace Combat now. Tifa is in Street Fighter 6, which would be insane if it wasn't leaked like a month beforehand. Which is exactly how I feel about the Ocarina of Time remake. There are a couple of announcements that are the equivalent of filing a trademark and showing logos this year, like the new Cuphead, Ninja Turtles, and Persona 6. But the most egregious for me were Duskbloods and Ocarina of Time. Both these games are coming out later this year, and we know nothing about them. Alien Isolation 2 is coming. From what I understand, every copy of the first Alien Isolation was haunted, where the Xenomorph can read the player's mind, which is what makes it such a beloved classic. Seems like for the sequel, they're going to bioengineer real-life Xenomorphs to hunt you down in real life, which sounds pretty exciting. Vanillaware is re-releasing their old samurai game, Muramasa. I've never heard of this game before in my life, but these guys made Unicorn Overlord, so I'm morally obligated to buy everything they make until I die. Onimusha is in September. I feel like with the oversaturation of Souls-like East Asian swordmen video games we see every year, this is going to struggle to carve out its own unique identity. but Capcom has been on a generational run ever since RE7. They are 3 for 3 this year, so I have nothing but faith in them. Control Resonant is looking trippy as hell, can't wait for that in September. The Blood of Dawnwalker didn't really interest me, but it's coming out in September, so it'll probably be good. Rhythm Heaven is now a party game and a JRPG, I just need to find a way to clone myself thrice before it comes out. In July. Hokopia is getting DLC as expected. This game really snuck up on me. I've been failing to get into these cozy games for years, but something about this one just clicked. I never thought I'd be excited for this kind of game. Final Fantasy VII Revelation. The remake felt a bit bloated and awkward to me, especially compared to the original, so I've been holding out on Rebirth until this game so I can play them all back to back. What I'm more excited for is Final Fantasy Resonance. The novelty of the HD 2D art style has started to wear off, but this game is breathing new life into this aesthetic, and it's turn-based, so good. Xbox came in swinging this year. We got new trailers for Fable and Halo, and for the 2 actual Xbox exclusives in Gears of War E-Day and not BioShock Infinite. It's not going to convince everyone to buy an Xbox, but they're taking a step in the right direction, and it feels like they might be making a comeback, which is why they decided to shut down Ninja Theory 10 minutes after announcing a new Senua game. Alright, let's start talking about the big dogs. I was not expecting a God of War anything after the announcement of the remakes, nor was I expecting full gameplay to be shown. Playing as Faye instead of Atreus for a full game is honestly a relief. Kratos' character arc kind of came full circle in Ragnarok, and setting the story in the afterlife of the gods opens the door for some interesting mythological crossovers. If there isn't a side quest where we help Jesus resurrect in 3 days, I will be extremely disappointed. Castlevania is looking metal as fuck, I have no other notes. Spyro is getting the Crash 4 treatment, so you know it's going to be peak. As someone who grew up with Skylanders, it's going to be interesting seeing what this character is actually supposed to be like, and whether this realm beyond is secretly the Skylanders universe. I can't be the only one who thought that villain tease reminded them of Chaos. Persona 4, baby! My biggest fear of this game was that they'd keep the randomized flat room layouts that plagued older Atlas games pre-Persona 5, and it looks like I'm not scared enough. But this still has more potential to be the definitive version of Persona 4, unlike Reload. Monolith Soft is once again giving us the juiciest steaks and butteriest lobsters we could ask for. 4K 60fps versions of the Chronicles trilogy, extra content, and Xenoblade Genesis. These guys are eldritch wizards who've made the impossible run on a Nintendo Switch. It's going to be insane seeing what they can do unshackled from the restraints of century-old hardware. Kingdom Hearts 4 isn't dead. Hopefully they put more restraint in marketing this time instead of spoiling literally everything like 3 did. If they really want to hype people up though, they'll show off the Cars world we've all been waiting for, and have Sora say, cause Fire Emblem 4 Houses is finally coming out in September, and costs $8. This is gonna be the last Fire Emblem game ever made, isn't it? This year's E3 was undoubtedly a return to hype for anyone who actually likes video games. And surprisingly, my most anticipated announcement was Virtua Fighter 6. Out of all the iconic big-name fighting games, Virtua Fighter always had the least appeal. From a casual perspective, it was just boring to watch. Virtua Fighter 6 is RGG Studios stepping in and punching casuals in the face. You got these fancy blocking animations and camera angles, when you knock a dude out, the game goes. The story mode is a full-on Yakuza game instead of a 2-hour playable cutscene. Unlike Street Fighter's World Tour mode, the writing is not a complete embarrassment. Never in a million years would I ever imagine describing a fighting game as cinematic, but this shit is immaculate. Siempre voy a pelear.